Welcome. In this edition of Down to Earth, we'll be covering some of the important topics. The very first is how the people near the Singhara fort have been working to earn their livelihood mainly through fishing and the seasonal agriculture labor as they have been. The next is the various committees which have been organized for the same, which have been protecting the traditional forest knowledge and guarding the various aspects. Now, the curb on sugar exports have been really important from India. Earlier, India had limited the sugar exports to 6.2 million tons for the season till the end of September. The latest announcements would actually ensure that the supply meets the domestic demand and the rising prices under the festive seasons needs to be checked. But due to the El Nino weather phenomena, the production in India and Thailand had been hit. The prices have been soaring among the highest in the 13 years in September itself. Now, there have been various climate activists who have been working for various causes. One of the important ones among those to be cited is in Vietnam, there were two climate activists who were arrested, and one of them was the director of a company which worked variously with the energy issues. The idea was actually to understand the environmental advocacy regarding the various issues of the transnational A22 climate things. Now, the COVID-19 had led a lot of people with the various issues, and even after the discharge and follow-up, there have been numerous cases ranging from shortness of breath to fatigue to mental health issues. The number and the symptoms have been increasing over the years. There have been symptoms like weakening limbs, body ache, joint pain, vomiting, chest pain, and so on. Another interesting concept that has been brought this time is the drought that has been witnessed in the Amazon rainforest. Now, the most populous area near the Manus River port is one of the major rainforest areas which has witnessed a drop in the water levels to the highest since the last 121 years, and this disaster has been brought into alert. The lowest levels of rains have been recorded even after 1980s, and there have been nearly 4,80,000 people affected by this phenomena. The situation has been worsening with deforestation increasing, the land under the rainforest declining, wildfires increasing, and the spike in the fire counts have increased tremendously over the last years. Now, the next thing is the elections across the various states in India. The patterns have been seen making promises for various things which deal with energy, education, health, labor, transport, and so on. Talking about freebies and distribution of freebies. But if we look onto some of the models across the world, we would see there was a zero hunger program model launched in Brazil, which brought a significant vote bank and increased the electoral yield to nearly 15% when this concept was launched in 2022. However, that impact on the electoral yield declined to around 6.5%. So there has been issues like that have been raised in India's election as well, and we are actually trying to correlate it to the various phenomena across the globe in the election process. The next is BT cotton and bollworm attack. Now, BT cotton is the genetically modified form of the cotton, and the pink bollworm is one of the most destructive pests which was believed to be controlled when BT cotton was brought. However, we have witnessed that it was for the third consecutive year that in Ganganagar district in Rajasthan, this pink bollworm attack has been seen. It was seen in 2021, and then in 2022 it was the whitefly attack, and then again the pink bollworm effect, a bollworm infestation which has been seen in 2023. In Rajasthan, 90% of the crops in the cotton growing districts have been damaged. In Haryana, nearly 50% of the crop is damaged in 25% of the area. Now, this bollworm infects the region, feeds on multiple plants, and there has to be protection against various pesticides that has to be brought in order to mitigate this issue. 1970s, this causes regular infestation in India. In 1985, it was one of the biggest threat because it had developed resistance to pyrethroids and organophosphates, including carbamates. In 2000, there was the concept of BT cotton which was introduced, and it talked about prevention from all all the three species of bullworm, the American spotted and the pink bullworm. However, there was this BT cotton which was encoded with Cry1AC toxin, and this was believed to be one of the major reasons that this BT cotton would be able to survive. However, there were infestation cases that started which were resistant to Cry2AB. Now there was an outbreak which was seen in Gujarat, whitefly outbreak seen in Punjab. This infestation went widespread in the regions of Maharashtra, even in Haryana. In 2020s, again in Punjab and Haryana. So the quality became stained. There has been an RD. RD is the reflectance degree. So it talks about how white or yellow the cotton fiber is, and the RD level is required at around 73-74, which we were getting at around 66. So it was not at the optimum market level as it was seen. There were incidences that have been cited from other states as well, including Telangana, Karnataka, Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh. Even the Cry gene, which is related to prevent the pink bullworm, there have been attacks on the seed which have led to impact on the cycle off and on. The next is the region in Delhi, where the Sahibi river runs through. Now this is a region of nearly 300 kilometers where Haryana and Rajasthan region actually meet, and they have been left with untreated wastewaters from the city and the industrial areas, and this contaminated the Sahibi riverbed. The government has been working for rejuvenation mainly in the Najafgarh area where the major drain comes in. The Delhi Jal Board has been working for desiltation and restoration of the embankment areas. The flow has been reduced. This was locally called as the Sabi River. However, there have been frequent drying seasons that have been witnessed with Sahibi rivers. Earlier it was only for the summer months, but mining in Aravali's, the loss of vegetation, decline in rainfall are some of the reasons which have affected the flow in the Sahibi river. Also, we have seen that the groundwater accessibility within 3 kilometers in the villages of the river have been affected. The most common crops, which were the bajra, jowar, gaur, mung and makai, the moat, were being affected. In winter, they were mainly the chickpeas and the watermelon. We have seen that the chickpeas have been no more growing in the region. In the Tijara area, the cotton, which was one of the most lucrative crops in the last decades, have been affected. So the idea ahead is to understand the right strategy to follow the restoration and the future sustainable plan. There has to be early warning system, the Doppler radar system that has to be taken into account. We have to identify low pressure areas near the coastal areas, and identify the numeric weather prediction models. The drought monitoring index, which has been developed by IIT Gandhinagar, observes the satellite data, understanding the index of precipitation, runoff and soil moisture. And then we also have a standardized pressure index, standardized precipitation index that talks about the overall precipitation in a given period of time along with the long-term average that can be seen. Now, when it comes to the numeric weather prediction model, we are understanding the data related to rainfall, temperature, various parameters of rainfall and other essential natural phenomena, understanding what needs to be done, and the issues related to climate change. So one major issue is the Omega atmospheric blocking system. Now this is a unique blocking system where the low pressure in the west and the eastern Europe develops, and this leads to high pressure in the central Europe region, and this is a kind of sandwiching between the two areas, affecting further being affected by the Arctic jet streams, and the weather forecast for that needs to be understood. Also, we are heading towards deepening crisis with debt stressed countries which have actually low income group and are at a higher risk of debt. Also, understanding how the spending on the debt repayment can be done in a proper way is really important. So there have been various issues related to it being explained and understood. Also talking about the priorities. So 60% of the low income countries actually spend more on external debt. The same goes for 41 low income countries spending more on external debt than on healthcare, and so on and so forth. Also, understanding the developments are really important. Now, Methane, a very important greenhouse gas from the agricultural sector. Methane being brought to atmosphere through the belching, flatulence and dung of the livestock. Nitrous oxide from nitrogen fertilizers. Besides the oil and gas fertilizers, from where methane is one of the major exhausts that could be seen. So Danish government is talking about taxing the beef products to reduce the carbon dioxide emissions. Canada is talking about reducing the nitrogen fertilizers. Ireland is talking about the compensation to be paid to the farmers. Netherlands again working for cutting the nitrogen emissions. The same working with other governments from Belgium and other parts of the world. Now methane, as we said, is the most abundant after carbon dioxide and accounts for 20%, and it's 25% more potent than carbon dioxide, mainly from livestock, animal feed, the belching and the flatulence. Then you have the gas from the oil wells that can be seen. So one of the important solution is putting in feed additives that reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, possibility of breeding animals that produce less emissions, prioritizing the technologies, and then we are definitely in a world of extremes where sudden extreme events have been seen. For example, floods in Sikkim. We at the same time have witnessed floods in Libya. Now Libya flood is again due to the Omega atmospheric blocking, which has created the Hurricane Daniel. Now Hurricane Daniel was one of the major hurricanes that was witnessed and has created a real havoc in the region of Libya, affecting a lot of people in the Mediterranean area. In Sikkim, it was mainly the event which occurred in the South Lohanak Lake, and that has caused a significant damage. So gloves we have covered in a separate lecture, which are glacial lake outburst floods, because the glaciers actually move down and the dams are unable to hold the water. There is a gush of flow of water in the downstream areas, and this has created the collapse of numerous dams and a sudden outburst leading to flood situations. There are various monitoring stations, Doppler radars that could actually help understand it, for the heat waves, for the dissemination of the heat waves, for droughts as well. Even for the cyclones, we have mooring buoys tracks that understand the sea surface temperature for better understanding and better forecasting. Even the policy frameworks, we are talking about reducing the resource consumption, the environmental impact. Some of the other important news talk about the study on the asteroids using Psyche, which is one of the satellites being released by NASA, and it is one of the most heaviest or the most bulky metallic object that has been released into the solar system. Argentina has been working for the presidential electionship and talking about shutting down the main science agency CONICET. That is one of the major promises which is done by the libertarian leaders. Also, solar power car has been designed in Netherlands, and this is another initiative which can travel long distances without recharging. The population of mountain chicken frog has declined significantly from hundreds and thousands to just 21 in the region of Dominican Republic. Then we as a country in India are struggling with the issue of global hunger index. Below India, the only Asian country that lies is Afghanistan, and therefore it's a matter of serious concern for India to understand how malnutrition and hunger issues could be resolved. We are one of the countries which is 101 out of 125 countries in 2023. A significantly low score in the hunger index indicates that a huge amount of population is actually struggling to have their daily bread. Understanding the CAR T cell therapy for leukemia treatment and B cell lymphoma is again an important concept that we need to understand. So those are some of the important things that we have discussed in this down to earth edition. In case you have any questions or queries, feel free to connect back. Thanks for joining in today. The handouts for this session would be available at examrace.com in the current affairs sections for free. Thanks for joining in.